Do you agree that Michael Jordan and the players of that era were cut from a different cloth than the great players playing today?
Absolutely, I do. And in that time, Greeny, what happened is how could you defeat your opponent? How could you make it to the NBA? It was with your intellect, because most players were required to go to college, which means you got to be eligible in high school, you got to be eligible in college. Your skill, regardless of your height. My high school coach always told me a 6'11" center or power forward was once a 6'1" point guard, which means you should always work on your game. Your will to outwork the people that are your age that are just as good as you. And lastly, physical intimidation. And two players embodied that for me that I played against to show the difference in the eras. They're both similar if you look at their height and their weight. The two players are Karl Malone and LeBron James. They're listed the same. Karl Malone had skills for a big man. LeBron James has skills for a guard. And what ends up happening is today's game, we use terms like freedom of movement, pace and space. So instead of players driving the basketball to the hoop and there's more grappling involved, now people are around the three-point line. You have the Houston Rockets, Greeny, taking more threes than twos, and the league's leading scorer, James Harden, plays on a team that starts P.J. Tucker, who could play physical in any era, at 6'5", starting at center in today's game. So now you want to get more skilled people on the floor. So you go to Boston, Jason Tatum in theory is playing the 4, Kawhi Leonard in theory is playing the 4, LeBron James, when it's closing time for the Lakers, in theory is playing the 4, even though we're embodying positionless basketball.
So here's the thing. I understand what you're saying. We're talking about how the game has changed. I get that part of it completely. Let's talk about how the people have changed. Mark Jackson said Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant he used the phrase, would have died on the court in order to win. Do you believe that players in that era cared more about winning? I feel like that's what he's saying. Cared more, it mattered more in their soul, winning, than the players today.
I think the elite players today still have that same killer instinct and mind state of great players from the past. I think that translates era. So regardless of what era we're talking about, the great players today still will be great players in another era. However, your life in the game is different, Greeny, when you don't have the fame, you're not making as much money, and you're still trying to grow the game when you're required to show up and play 82 games, back-to-backs, travel commercial. It tests your love when you need money. And it tests your love when you don't necessarily have the resources. Today's player has a lot more resources. They have social media. They get paid a lot more to play the game. But I think the love does transfer. But I understand where Mark is coming from, because there can be a frustration sometime today where you feel like people play the game because they have skill, not necessarily doing it for the love.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.